Hello, folks. Welcome to Tongues and Runes. And we're starting just where we left off. And I just want to... So, I have been working on making this chart into a set of sound change rules. And I kind of actually stopped at a point where I kind of wanted to show all of you guys what I was doing and see what y'all thought about it. So obviously we're not doing anything with short vowels yet. Short vowels, maybe they'll become lax, maybe they'll get reduced to schwa in some cases. All kinds of things can happen with that. Long vowels, I got to work after a lot of fiddling. Hello, Cheesecake. Hello, Parchment Lore. So that works. And then I was working on these two. So we had the idea that oo, we, and ew would both become e. Right? Meanwhile, just this, oi and oe would become e. Whereas here, we've got this staying, and then this kind of gets grouped with ow. Maybe we can adjust that a little bit. But in the process of making this work, you can see, if you understand a little bit about how Lexergy works, and I think I actually blew this up a little bit too much because you can't see the whole rule. If people can see properly, let me know. What I've got here is vowels always become labial after a labial. Then vowels that are high. This TH stands for tongue height, and I can go over why I use that and all of that in a minute. But this is basically saying high vowels also become labial when followed by a labial, and you can see the definitions here. Now you'll see that schwa doesn't have anything, and the reason I have it that way is I used a Dresherian tree, and apologies for this not being in actual tree format. View, zoom. But basically, the way I do this is, now these are features that I learned in grad school that are a little bit different from what you will learn in like Ling 101. This is tongue thrust. So this can mean front or back, right? And this is tongue height. And then I had this happen, I had this so that we first separate out the front vowels, then we separate out the high vowels. Actually, there should be no e there. This is not actually saved as a thing. Okay. And of course, with the non-front vowels, the same thing happens, but actually I had labial at first, right? So labial gets separated out so that I have labial as a feature to deal with. And then I separate out tongue height. And then I have which later on, of course, I just attached this low feature. The features here are a little bit ad hoc. It's a little bit weird, the things that I chose, but this way I can differentiate this from a schwa and get that. but these are all underspecified, right? So this helps me. I find this helps me to understand doing a tree like this, and this is just the tree for the vowels. I didn't do a tree for everything. This helps me to get at, okay, these are features that are going to be phonologically active, and I can make an attempt to do all my changes with these features. Now, am I necessarily going to limit myself if I have a change that is not going to use those features? No, no. I can always make adjustments, and it is good that Lexergy does allow me to define something with no features at all. I did also use the vowel class because I wasn't making a tree for the entire phonology, and I just decided to say, okay, let's define what vowels are as a class. We will get to adding the consonants later. But what I found was when I sorted out like labial spreading here, right? And I got labial spreading only forwards for most vowels, and then can also spread backwards in high vowels, and also the frontness, the front feature can also spread both ways for high vowels, but not for other vowels. Then I run into the situation where you get, instead of io, you end up with io. So this cell here, I could alter that. So I could, can I, yeah. So maybe, so I'm thinking maybe we can have io or even, yeah. Right? And that would be another layer, another like thing that happens. We do need to think about like how this relates to our labialization too, because we have my current idea was just to make like W's become the labialization, but we could also incorporate labialization coming from labial vowels like this, right? There's a lot of different ways that can sort itself out. So anyway, that is what I am aiming for. And I wanted to get y'all's thoughts, if I'm not covering the chat. Yes, Jake. I always like to jump in because I got limited time to be in here. Yeah. So the thing is, and then I have this lengthening rule that just says if you have two of the same vowel together, then just mark them as long with the diacritic, and that's just to clean things up, right? Right. So let's. Hi, Topher. Conlang man from Conland. I'm in Fairy right now. I don't know why I keep pronouncing it that way. It's, sometime I should get some elf ears to do this stream. Just for fun. Anyway, so this is you know, as you're translating things into sort of your language stuff, it's a thought to have that happen. What did I? Okay, so let's take a look at some other things that we are dealing with. So ao and au, we were gonna make these, this, and this. We were gonna merge with a diphthong. Let me actually let's I'm gonna a ea il eu. I'm gonna run those through and see. So, and then this gets okay. Eu becomes a. So if I want this, if I want this merger to happen, it probably needs to happen before this rule happens. So the question is, do we want just an eu, or do we want eu, like these to merge to eo, or do we want eo and eu? Because that, and then eu could end up merging in with a in some dialects, and remaining its own thing in other dialects. So that's a possible thing to consider. So let's see. How would I avoid this happening if I didn't want it? The yeah, ra, or yeah. I would have to I'm not basing it specifically on Tolkien's languages. I am drawing some inspiration from features of Celtic languages, but it's also not going to be wholly like a Celtic language. I want to do some some callbacks to Celtic languages, and maybe something to Germanic as well, because those are the places where fairy lore sort of comes from, and where like D&D Fae are sort of inspired from, right? If you look at, I mean, the class that would use this is called a druid, right? One of their like main cantrips is called Shillelagh. There's a whole lot of Celtic inspiration in that, and just the idea of the Fae and the Feywild has roots in Celtic mythology, and then in like Anglo-Saxon adoption of Celtic stuff too. Yeah, the vowels look pretty Germanic, and Druidic. So this is something to consider, Topher, is like, so Druidic, as I understand it, let me actually pull up the rules so I can let's go to D&D Beyond. Let's look up Druid. the class Druid and Druidic. Well, class features. Druidic. You know Druidic, the secret language of Druids. While learning this ancient tongue, you also unlocked the magic of communicating with animals. You always have the Speak with Animals spell prepared. You could use Druidic to leave hidden messages. You and others who know Druidic automatically spot such a message. Others spot the message's presence with a successful DC 15 intelligence investigation check, but can't decipher it without magic. Okay, this is different from what I remember. Is this like the new 2024 stuff? Oh. Yeah, let me see if I can find. I think there's mentions of Druidic in here that maybe goes further into what it was, because I thought Druidic was like Thieves' Cant. Why are you showing me this ad in this very annoying place? So here's the thing. They can't decipher it without magic. Yeah. And here it says you always have the Speak with Animals spell prepared, which, like, knowing this language allows you to speak with animals, except you have to actually use a spell slot because this is a first level spell. So I think I'm going to. First of all, I want druids and rangers to be able to use this language. And maybe Druidic is like an offshoot dialect of Sylvan. Can be something that we explore a little bit later. Because it does kind of throw a wrench into things, because my whole plan was I'm making these exotic languages and then making them spellcasting languages. Maybe I can finagle something, but, you know, for now we are making Sylvan. And there was language in here. There was some. Okay. There used to be stuff about So let me jump into um, let me jump into the 3.5 because 3.5 had more explicit stuff about this. So here, let me. Bonus languages. A druid's bonus language options include Sylvan, the language of woodland creatures. So and this is kind of where I was going for on all of these things, was like these classes give you an option to learn a language oftentimes. And so this says you can as a bonus language have Sylvan, and then you automatically know Druidic. Wizards have an option to have Draconic, while the Draconic origin sorcerer automatically knows Draconic. That's what I was going for. It was like, you learn this language for some reason. Why not have that be the language you cast spells in? I think what my plan will be is druids will have Druidic. Honestly, I want to make different rules for how languages work in D&D anyway, but that's a topic for another day. You will have Druidic, but Druidic is a language that druids use to communicate amongst themselves, right? It's a secret language they use to communicate amongst themselves. Sylvan, I think they will use Sylvan to cast spells. I will write spells in Sylvan because that is them communicating with the forces of nature and with the Fae in order to grant them power to do stuff, right? It's a little bit, yeah, it's a little bit, yeah. So Druidic is a cant that they use to communicate, but Sylvan will be what they use as a focus to cast spells, and communicate with the natural world and the universe in order to get things done. Whereas, and I have in mind different styles of how these languages are used. So, druids will be kind of more communicating with the forces of nature. The celestial family, celestial, infernal, abyssal, those will be actually directly asking for another entity to help, because that's what clerics are doing, right? Is asking for some outside entity to grant them power to do things, right? And wizards kind of use Draconic as a focus in order to have it in a language that is not their own native language, in order to and it's gonna figure into how each of these work. If you were around near the end of the Draconic series, when I was actually doing the spell incantations on stream, you'll remember that I was those were very direct, right? Yeah, Druidic might not be based on Sylvan, or it could be. I would think that maybe there's an Elvish language that is descended from Sylvan, and maybe it comes from a Wood Elvish dialect or something, right? All right. Yeah. See ya. Well, thanks for dropping by, David. Yeah. Yeah. Draconic is the lightning rod language. Yeah. But those were very direct, very on the nose. Literally firebolt is like I throw a ball of fire, or I throw fire, right? Um, the mage hand was egrebe ginsrafube. Here, I actually want to make them more like metaphorical, and I will have things like probably like animal and plant metaphors going on. So like in the Ndakaga incantation for like expeditious retreat is like I run fast, right? Whereas the Sylvan incantation, I think Druids have expeditious retreat, will be like I have the speed of a cheetah or whatever animal I choose. Not necessarily a cheetah. It depends on what animals I have and what will fit into it poetically, right? So that is for far in the future, because we have a lot of conlanging to do before we get to the point where we have the words and the structures and everything to do that. Right now, we got to get back to figuring out these vowels. So immediately I'm struck with, I think I want this yeah, and I want it to actually become yeah. You get yeah and yeah. Basically this, you end up with this rounding migrating up to the front. And that's an interesting thing to me. Yeah. Topher, I don't know. Maybe we'll have fast as a flying magic turtle. No, but like something like strength of a turtle or shell of a turtle might be useful for some things. But anyway, we're not writing spell incantations. Maybe in a minute I will show you something. But here, I just want to say, I'm going to keep this, but I'm going to ask you guys. We have, right now, what I had was eo and eu just merged to eo. Now, we can do that if we put that sound change early, because eo goes to eo. But if we instead say, oh, this fronting thing happens first. There's two ways we could avoid it. This fronting thing happens first. Then we can end up with eo and a. So I want to ask you guys, let's run a poll. What happens to an eu? So merges to eo, becomes eu. I will say eu definitely is like, definitely gives you the sound of like certain like Scottish or Northern Irish dialects to me. It's kind of an interesting. I know Belfast dialect has this. And we're not going to have this, but has, I believe it's I. That's the owl. The ow vowel, like in brown. How now brown cow in Belfast. How now brown cow. I'm not pronouncing that very fluently at all, but it's like roughly what it is, right? So that's a lot of things. But I mean, we can consider different ideas about that. So, let's see. How are we doing? We've got, okay, looks like everybody did. What was that phrase? You don't know how now, brown cow? How now, brown cow? This is like a way to practice this what in my dialect is like the ow diphthong, right? But it's different in different. How now, brown cow. In Belfast, I visited Belfast as a teenager, and at some point started developing a Belfast accent, which was kind of embarrassing. So I think everybody has decided we're going to have ew merge to ew. So let's figure out how exactly that happens. So we have these three mergers happening, but this is actually not like these other ones, right? In these ones, what we're having is this merges. I mean, we got three different things going on here. I think we got three completely different things going on here. So we have to, I think, I think we're just going to have to like stipulate these. We just have eu becomes eu. Get out of the IPA thing. Eu. And we apply that. Whoop. Oh. Apply that. And then we get eu for both of those. Okay. Now, for ow, see. Ow. Yeah. Okay. Then we wanted to have I stays. Yeah. So the I stay, I will stay. And then we have, so let's see what we end up with. And then we want I to become a, right? So let's add IE, IE, AO, AU. These should not change. Oh! Oh, goodness. Okay, so what is causing that? Oh, okay. Any vowel becomes fronted before tongue thrust. So we can merge both of these to ah to right? I think I I become I I I is very interesting. But I think it's even more interesting if we actually end up without I for this initial stage. And then I can re-evolve. We could get it from like the E breaking, like it did in the Great Vowel Shift. Um, there's there's a lot of different things we can do. So we could have what would we would do here is we would say I and I merge by we have the ash merger. And that happens when and this can happen and any let's just specifically at vowel and plus tongue thrust. So that would capture, but not labial, right? It's not. We're not going to have it up against labial, right? So we're just going to have it like that. Becomes plus long and wild card. Is this like a weird hyphen? What happened here? Okay, there we go. So these end up both becoming a. Yeah, and I mean, we can have different languages end up with fewer vowels. Or we can have the like lots of vowels it as our call to like Germanic. Because um because like I don't want this language to be like in a real world language family. I'm just adding some features to have callbacks to like where like the lore of fairies comes from. Now we have ow and ow. We can have the owl merger happen too. So Ao just becomes au, and we don't need to necessarily justify things. Topher, are you Scottish? Are you a Scots speaker? I should start typing in your chat in Scots. That's probably not how that's pronounced. Okay. Uh, that's fun. The one advantage to having a lot of these vowels in when we get to our splitting too, um, Doric Scots. I am aware of Doric. Yeah. You know where I learned the term Doric? This is gonna be dumb. Is there's in the movie Brave, the Disney movie Brave, it's set in Scotland, and there was a guy, he in the script he was supposed to just speak like unintelligibly, but the actor they hired knew Doric and spoke in Doric. Spoke his lines in Doric. Oh. And so that's as far as I know about Doric. So we're getting I think we've got these mergers working. Let's see. Let me just double check what happens when we have the O's and the oo starters. So O E O E O A O, and yeah, I already had ooey, but I'll put it down here so we know. We ooey ooey and ue ooah and ooh. Ah, okay. So we cannot. So okay. So we can have, yeah, and star labial, star low, okay. Have this happen to vowels that are not low. Actually, we need this to happen to low vowels. The tongue thrust thing. Yeah. Yeah is becoming yeah. 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 Oi. Oi. Yeah, so that's fine. So what did we have for ue? So ue, we just had become oo. Ue. No, ue becomes u. Right. Yeah, yeah, that can work. Um, actually, what I'm gonna do is no. We're gonna split that. Split cells. Actually, we're just gonna have this happen here too. Yeah, and here, right? Not why not? Yeah, 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 yeah. So you get like three different sources for yeah. Which is kind of make it a lot more frequent than it otherwise would. Now, we're going to have to figure out how we're going to make this happen. And I think, okay, first of all, we're going to have the how do I make this actually, these mergers actually happen? Or do we actually want A and A together? I think actually we're going to do this differently. This is going to be like this. A and O instead of A and O. And just merge that. And we can probably so if I define this as a vowel, that is not tongue height, that is tongue thrust and tongue height, I haven't done a lot of research into Celtic vowels. They do have, the lenition is generally defined as weakening of consonants. So what you have is vowels can have stress reduction. That's right, Topher. So unstressed vowels often get reduced, generally centralized to some degree. Either, but lenition is, it's sort of it's a broad category of things that happen. Usually like something happening to a consonant in between two vowels or between two sonorants, and You can end up with stops going to fricatives, voiceless stops going to voiced, aspiration getting lost, just generally things that somehow are making the sound weaker, more continuous, more less distinct in some way. Let me see what this change actually does. Oh. Oh, vowel and. Oh, this has to be a plus. Okay, so. Why is that happening? So why are we, okay, we are getting, this becomes so yeah, A becomes A. Why do I have two A in there? I don't know why that happened. So this is a non-tongue height vowel. What happens? Oh, wait a minute. So we end up with A and O. Okay, we still need this ash thing to happen. Why did that? See, that's not tongue height. That's not tongue height. So I don't know why it decided not to change this. Trying to figure out. I don't know. Yeah. Mutations are the initial consonant mutations are something I probably will do mostly in the dialects. By the way, it's because I need them. I want there to be variation in among the different dialects in where their mutations go. Oe. Okay, oe and oa are both oe and oi are both becoming u. So I think we're not going to do this. We're gonna split cells. We're gonna go ahead and keep this happening, but we will have this and the way that we want, but I need to figure out why this is not happening. So vowel that's not tongue-tied, but and a vowel that is tongue-tied. This is happening fine. This is working fine for A and for O. And it's even happening for these. Oh gosh. This is turning the ow into ah. But it's not turning this. In fact, actually, that's super cool, Parchment Lore. I need to. If you got sources, I'm gonna be researching the constant mutations to make sure that I get the development right. So if you have sources that you can send to me, that'll be fun. We're all helping each other here. Oa. 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 I'll just say this is Oa. It doesn't actually matter. And then thing is how to make this happen. I think. We still need to have this ash. Oh. Okay, there we go. We have the ash happening. And then the last thing we need to think about is turning all of these into schwas. So what we'll have here, we need to exclude eo and ao. Somehow. Oh, this is front. And so let's see, what happened to eo? Ear, 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 and ear, ear, ear. I mean, it's just I'm just taking the features that I defined here. So here's what I did. Okay, I'm using features that I like to use. So tongue thrust, tongue height, right? Basically, this is front, this is high, this is just front, this is low labial. Yeah. This is high and labial. Schwa is just vowel. And then this is high front and labial, front labial, low, and front. So an a can be distinct. And so let's run through the sound changes. What happens is we have a vowel. If you have a vowel that is not low, then it becomes labial when it comes after a labial. So, and then if you have a vowel that is high, it can also become labial when it's before a labial. So this is how we're getting ui and iu becoming u, because that's also a similar thing. The tongue thrust is actually spreading the other way. It's any vowel can become front when it's before a front vowel, but high vowels also can become front when they're after a front vowel, and so you get this merger here. Then we have non-high high merger. This is just whenever you have a vowel that is a mid vowel, so e or o, and it has a diphthong with a high vowel, then it just becomes a long version of the mid vowel. So what happens is, so o became just o. It just that u got subsumed into it and just became o. A became a became a. Okay. Then I have a similar thing to get the ash. The ash came about because there was a front vowel in front of the a, fronted it to ash, to a. And then when we get this, we have an ash, and then when it's followed by a front vowel, it just becomes long and that. This is just to clean up. In reality, this sound change would kind of all happen at once. Just I would merge together. I and a, they would both end up sort of like glomming together. This is called coalescence into one vowel, a. So I'm sort of working the system I have in order to get it. Then this is just to say when you have two of the same vowel together, it's just the long version of that vowel. So that's where I am right now. I'm trying to figure out, is there anywhere that I have neglected something or something is not working? I think we're good. This is merging correctly. The only thing we need is any time we have one of these. So we're going to have, anytime we have a mid vowel that follows something else, except, okay, so eu, okay, so we had ea, okay, I think or, okay, I think, hi Miles, how you doing? You're a cowboy. So my plan was to end up with a bunch of like off glides reducing to schwa. The thing is, if I want to keep the eo, yes. So I think we got to do two changes here, actually. Everybody said hi, Miles. Mateus is here. Everybody's good. Okay. Okay. So we don't have any other. So all of our cases where we have the ah at the end, so are like this. So schwa, ashwa, off glide. So here we go. So if we have any vowel, a lot of this is, by the way, this is kind of coming from a standpoint where all of these are falling diphthongs. That means the first vowel is stronger than the second vowel in all cases, which is not, it's kind of atypical, but it's the way that I wanted to arrange it. But anyway, if we have a vowel preceding an ah, or let's actually just do it this way. We have an ah, any ah can just become schwa. In the environment where it is following another vowel. Now this happens after our vowel lengthening, so this will not be affected. Okay? And then we should get ia. Ia becomes ia. Ea becomes ea. I don't know why I keep having duplicates here. Oa becomes oa. Ua becomes ua. Ua. Okay. There we've got that. And now, in order to get these and ia, what we need is to say now schwa off glide. uh, that would be nice. Maybe I can get Fifi to draw me a pixie that I can put in the back and ask the pixie to be a consultant for me. So what we have, so these are all cases where we have a high vowel before a mid vowel, right? So vowel and any vowel that is not tongue height. Do we need to have a not low thing? I don't think so, because the ah is going to become a schwa anyway. This becomes a schwa in the environment after a vowel that is plus tongue height. And of course, everything, this should be an and, ampersand, not a. I didn't actually define the environment correctly. And then, yeah, wa. Oh, okay. I didn't expect that, but we can work with that. So this is here, and this merges here. Actually, that's fine. Yeah, we get yeah. Pixie consulting fees. Or we got L is staying for now. Yeah. And I think we've got this EO becomes yeah. And I think we have nailed down what our vowels are going to do. What these like diphthongs and long vowels are going to do. So we ended up, so the only diphthongs we have are ew, ow, and a bunch of schwa off glides, which is going to be really interesting. Some of those will probably end up being just long vowels at the end. Now, let's talk about what happens to the short vowels. So we have a lot of things we can do with the short vowels. Let's generate a bunch of roots and see how often we end up with like short vowels. Oh, short vowels are super common actually. In fact, probably the next language should be vowelless. No. I have plans for the next ones. gemination and fricativization of voiceless plosives. So we have woot, BP, bow. Like if we run these through. So let's when so far we have this happening here with boot, BP, bow, D, guitar, 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 idu, idu, I, upo, atu. This is the kind of words that we're getting so far. But we're going to do like a Grimm's Law sort of thing happen, and we're going to deal with some vowels. I think it was brought up, the idea of so like, can I have a comment here? Yeah, that's a comment. Let's well, I mean, it's probably a similar thing. This is Lexifer, created by William Annis, and I use it all the time for generating roots. So here's my thought. Let's talk about different things that can happen. So people threw out some ideas, like we could devoice vowels. I think laxing is something we could do, like laxing, turning every unstressed short vowel into a schwa. I think is not something I want to do yet at this stage. You can buy one of these from the Language Creation Society. You can just buy one and have it if you want it. Yeah, it's a little tricky sometimes. So devoicing I kind of like. Deleting, not so much. So I'm thinking actually we will end up with some deletion, with some devoicing. We're not going to do schwa reduction yet, or maybe schwa reduction in some vowels. And so we can have that happen. So what we can do is let's take a look at what our steal this for a second. We actually have very different we're not looking at front vowels now. A thought that I have is let's actually make this our patron poll. I'm going to come up with several different scenarios. One scenario would be pictures. Okay. One scenario would be all of these. What? Become schwa. Right? And then these just become the lax versions of themselves. So e becomes I, and u becomes Okay. Another scenario we could have would be that everything except for is becoming a lax version of itself. And remember, we're going to be doing dialects. What else could we do? I think this is the two that we are going to go over. So we'll do devoicing will be a separate thing that I will work out on stream maybe next time. Probably it will go along with me figuring out what I'm going to do with oh, that's another thought, Miles. Z and V. That would be cool, actually. I think, Miles, I think I'm going to hold on to that idea for later. I think maybe I will let this happen in closed syllables. And in open syllables, they don't get reduced. And that will open up some options for making them become syllabic consonants like that. That is actually a cool thing. Mandarin has that. Mandarin has the becomes a fricative sometimes. Oh, you saying make everything raise? Absolutely cheesecake. Some non-concatenativeness will happen in order to do, like, for example, in order to get my mutations to work the way I would want them to, we'd have to have a apocopy happen, right? Have final vowels get deleted. Well, you could do an umlaut. I want to do an umlaut. You can do an umlaut before the final vowel gets deleted so that you end up with a stem alternation happening in certain cases, right? Yeah. So Jake knows their South American languages well. um, that's cool. Okay. E and U to Z and V. You know what? Let's actually let's copy this thing. Let me think on that. I'm not going to make the poll just yet, but it is an interesting thought. Oh no. Oh no. Why did that happen? Did it auto-save what I said? Okay. Okay. It did not auto-save. Let's just draw these lines here. I don't know what triggers it to do that. Gwyn and Gwen, huh? Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, we can work with something like that. This actually this can work. So the thing is, like, this could work with the devoicing, and we could end up with syllabic S and syllabic F, and that could be like super fun for that to just like randomly happen. I think this is a good place to be doing it. So what we've done, we have codified this crazy chart into Lexergy so that I can start with like testing out words and stuff, right? Now we're going to go work with short vowels. We're going to decide what happens to short vowels off stream in a patron thing. And next time we will find out the results of that, and we will move on to constant changes, including codifying the labialization rule, but also we will end up with figuring out these are going to become fricatives, right? We're going to figure out what happens here with S, and probably work on a few other bits and bobs to make the consonant inventory do something interesting. But for now, I think that's just about it. We've got our long vowels sorted out. I think that we can have, I think that with all of these vowels, with this big vowel inventory, where you're well set up for dialects to do interesting things, breaking the vowel system. You could even have a full-on great vowel shift happen. You can have all kinds of chain shifts happen with these, actually. You can have different mergers happen, like what happens if these two merge in one dialect, but these two merge in another dialect. There's just a lot of potential here that I see, and I am looking forward to realizing that. I'm going to have to, since we're going to move to consonants, I'm going to have to do a little bit of looking at consonant mutations in order to sort out, like, what I need to have happen in order for consonant mutations to work. I think probably the very the first thing that will happen with consonant mutation is you would have like a lenition rule that causes things to become fricatives, right? Potential is great. Yeah. But in order to split into our dialects. Also, I have had thoughts, but I haven't like realized anything from it about our structure, because originally I was thinking about four dialects. I need to ask, does anyone live in extreme northern regions here? Just as a thought. Maybe I'll ask if there's any Swedes around. Maybe I can ask Margaret, since she lives in Alaska. Are there days where you, like, the sun, like during the winter, where the sun doesn't quite make it over the horizon, so that you get like a dawn and dusk, like just a moment of twilight without actually having the sun rise and be at a day? Or conversely, do you have times in the summer when the sun dips down and just starts to dip down below the horizon, and you get a moment of twilight without actually going to nighttime? Yeah. That's a question I will put to you guys. But I need to go and pick up some girls and bring them home for dinner. So we will get working on consonants. We will figure out what we're going to do here, and then we'll get moving straight to consonants next time. So everybody, have fun and happy conlanging.